first grade. This is our video for Thursday, April the 16th, 2020. We have just a little over a month of school left. Can you even believe how fast summer is coming? Keep up the fantastic work. Okay, are you guys ready for a joke this morning? How do sea creatures communicate underwater? Communicate is a word for like talking or sharing with each other. How do they communicate underwater? Did you take your guess? Okay, here it is. How do sea creatures communicate underwater? With shell phones. Instead of cell phones, it's shell phones. Okay, that one was so silly that let's do one more, okay? What do you call a polar bear in Hawaii? What do you call a polar bear in Hawaii? Are you ready for the answer? Lost. Because polar bears do not live in Hawaii, do they? We learned so much about animals this year. We know that that is not the right climate for them. First grade in Bible this week, you've been talking about the early church or the new church. This is the church that we think of today. It's the church that grew out of what happened at Easter and Jesus' resurrection. It's the people who fled in the garden, who got nervous. It's Peter who denied Christ. But now Jesus has been resurrected, and they know that he is the Son of God without a shadow of a doubt. And so they start preaching and preaching and preaching and telling people about Christ, and more people get to know Jesus, which is awesome. And that has continued today because we should be telling people about Christ. Well, back just after Jesus went to heaven, ascended into heaven, that means went up into heaven, the religious leaders were still upset about people sharing about Christ, so they tried to stop them. One of the things they did was there was a man named Stephen who was sharing about Christ, and they killed him. They stoned him. It's actually a super sad story of people doing wrong things, but here's the thing about Stephen. Even when something really bad was happening, he stood up for Christ. He prayed, and he probably was afraid. Remember how on Tuesday we read our book about being afraid? You know, he might have been afraid in that moment. His heart might have been nervous, but instead of focusing on that, what he focused on, can you tell by looking at the picture what he focused on? Yep, he focused on Jesus. And that gave him peace in that moment. And then he went to be with Jesus. It was very sad that they made that choice, but it was super cool that Stephen stood up for what was right. Okay, I want to show you some books. We're not going to read another chapter book just because they take kind of a long time, so I'm not going to do them on our videos, even though that's what we would be doing in class. So I wanted to show you some of the chapter books that I would suggest. You know how much I love Magic Tree House, so I absolutely suggest that. And then also Geronimo Stilton. There's other Geronimo Stilton books. And remember Thea, his sister? There's also Thea Stilton's books. I wanted to show you there's books called A to Z Mysteries that are really fun, and you kind of try to figure out the mystery. You don't have to read those in order. Remember what I like to say, though? Sometimes it's good to start with the first book so that you kind of learn about the characters as they're introduced. The next book we would have read in class is one of my favorites. It's called Miss Daisy is Crazy. Can you see up here? This is called Weird School Days, or My Weird School is what it's called. There's also a second series that goes along with this. You do not have to read these in order either, but they're just fun and silly. If you haven't had a chance to read any Puppy Place books, those are always very sweet, and I love the dogs in them. There's, of course, lots of princess books and things like that out. And then Arthur does a number of books, usually where he's solving some kind of problem. So I would suggest starting to read chapter books. Remember, just put a bookmark in it and keep going. I also want to go over some sight words today. I thought for some sight words today we could do some of our bugs from our reading center. Are you guys ready? Okay, I'm going to go fast. Ready? Read it out loud as I show it, okay? Go. Ask. Can you see it? Own. Try. Him. Little. That has final stable syllable TLE in it. Think. Blue. Soon. Would. Use. Good. Eat. Let me hear ya. Good. Oh, this one we've got. We know this one. Said, jump. What is it? Make sure you read. Excellent job, first grade. I want to show you something that you're going to do in math today. We're learning something called area. Has anybody ever said to you, like maybe even coach when you were at school says, hey, go stand out in the grassy area. And so where do you go? Do you go stand on the basketball court? No, of course not. You go stand on the grass in that area. Area actually means where something is and how big it is. So what I want to show you today in math is we're going to start doing area. So it tells you right here, area is the number of square units that cover a surface. A lot of times at home, at your house, for instance, you would talk about that in square feet. If you ask your moms or dads, they'll probably tell you how big your house is. That actually is how big the area of your house is, and that would be in square feet. We're not going to do it in square feet because square feet wouldn't fit on our math page very well. So we're going to do it in square inches. Now, if you probably don't have these little squares like we would use at school at home, but you can see that this is a square inch, just like we use at home or use at school. But guess what else? Can I show you something that is a square inch if you happen to have them at home? Cheez-Its. Isn't that so funny? Cheez-Its happens to be a square inch also. So for some of these activities, if you want to use Cheez-Its to figure them out, you are welcome to. In the stuff your parents printed for you, I also just gave you like 8 squares that you can cut out and use also. And one of the things I want you to try to do is pick a number, like 8. They did 4 here, and they made 3 different shapes, but they're all 4 square inches. Do you see how there's 4 inches, 4 squares here, 4 squares here, 4 squares here? They're 4 square inches. So down here, you're going to find the area of this, and that's by counting how many square inches are in it. Then when you go to the back, you're going to do that in square centimeters. Can I show you a little example? Hold on, let me just show you a little example. You printed these pictures at home. They're a mirror and an aquarium, and you're going to find out the area of them. This is how you're going to do that. You can do that with the little squares that you've cut out, or like I said, if you have Cheez-Its, you can do that. You see this, it says the area of a tablet, and then this is my tablet. You can see how many, let's see if I can put it in better, first grade. How many square inches is my tablet? Correct, it's 6 square inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here's the area of my phone. Now I've already covered it up, and then I'll show it to you. How many square inches is my phone? This isn't my real phone because I'm obviously recording on it, but let's see. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 square inches. I could also count them one at a time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. But we know counting, skip counting is faster. But there's my phone. You see how I made that area? And did I just put them on there willy-nilly like this when I counted? No, of course not. I did them nice and neat so that they're covering the area. So have a great time figuring out area today. Our story we're going to read today is If You Give a Moose a Muffin. This story was written by Laura Numeroff and illustrated by Felicia Bond. That author and illustrator has done a number of other books that you can read. You can find those online to read on Kindle or different websites. Or you could also see them read on YouTube. If You Give a Pig a Party is one of them. That's a funny one. They're all pretty funny. If You Give a Cat a Cupcake. If You Give a Pig a Pancake. When you compare those, do you notice something that's the same? If You Give a Mouse a Brownie. Super fun. Well, let's find out what happens to this moose if you give a moose a muffin. Should we read about the author and illustrator? Laura Joff Numeroff also wrote, If You Give a Mouse a Cookie. When she is not writing, she's usually at the library or bookstore collecting books. That's so fun for her. And the illustrator, what does the illustrator do? Yes, you're right, draws the pictures. She did the drawings for If You Give a Mouse a Cookie. She listens to music when she draws. And sometimes her cats visit her at work. That's super fun. I don't see her cat in that picture, so. Okay, if you give a moose a muffin. If you give a moose a muffin, He'll want some jam to go with it. So you'll bring out some of your mother's homemade blackberry jam. Sounds yummy. When he finishes eating the muffin, he'll want another, and another, and another. When they're all gone, he'll ask you to make more. You'll have to go to the store to get some muffin mix. He'll want to go with you. When he opens the door and feels how chilly it is, he'll ask to borrow a sweater. That's silly moose. When he puts the sweater on, he'll notice one of the buttons is loose. He'll ask for a needle and thread. He'll start sewing. The button will remind him of the puppets his grandmother used to make. So he'll ask for some old socks. He'll make sock puppets. When they're done, he'll want to put on a puppet show. He'll need some cardboard and some paint. Then he'll ask you to make the scenery. First grade, do you know what the word scenery means? See what he's drawing back here? It's the part in a play that's behind it. If you go outside and look and you're looking at the trees and a lake, you might say, oh, the scenery here is beautiful. It's kind of what's in the background of the people. When the scenery is finished, he'll get behind the couch, but his antlers will stick out. Can you see his antlers? So ask for something to cover them up. You'll bring him a sheet from your bed. Oh, my word. When he sees the sheet, he'll remember he wants to be a ghost for Halloween. He'll try it on and shout, boo! It'll scare him so much, he'll knock over the paints. Silly guy. Then he'll ask for some soap to wash it out. He'll probably want to hang the sheet. Oh, I missed something. Look at I missed. Are you ready? So he'll use the sheet to clean up the mess. Then he'll ask for some soap to wash it out. He'll probably want to hang the sheet up to dry. Can you guys see in the window? What do you notice outside of the window? If he goes outside to hang up the sheet, what do you notice? That's right. He'll go outside to put it on the clothesline. When he's out in the yard, he'll see your mother's blackberry bushes. Seeing the blackberries will remind him of her jam. He'll probably ask you for some. And chances are, if you give him the jam, look at who's coming in the door. He'll want a muffin to go with it. Didn't he start with a muffin? And then it came all the way back around. That's what we call it, a circle story. Okay, first grade, do your very best at school today. I know you're going to be great for mom and dads, and you're going to be like, oh, this is no big deal. I got this. Do a great job. I love you bunches. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. See you later.